Welcome back to AI Explained. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today, we're going to be looking at the world of AI wearables.
Sounds cool.
Specifically, something called OMI.
Oh, me.
Yeah, it's been making some noise since CES.
I think I saw something about that.
What really caught my eye, though, was this brain interface thing.
Brain interface.
Yeah, you supposedly control the thing with your thoughts.
Whoa, really? That's something we haven't seen in a consumer device yet, at least not like Rabbit, Humane, or those Ray-Ban Metas.
Right. So let's break down what OMI actually is. Imagine like a Mentos candy, like the little round ones.
Okay, got it.
You can wear it on a necklace. Pretty standard stuff.
Makes sense.
But get this, you can also stick it to your head with medical tape.
Sorry?
With tape, yeah. That's where the brain interface comes in. Supposedly, it can tell when you're focusing on OMI, and you can, like, give it commands without saying anything out loud.
That's a bit out there. How does that even work?
Well, the founder, Nick Shevchenko, he did a demo at CES, closed his eyes, concentrated, and boom, asked OMI a question. No wake word, nothing.
A Thiel fellow, right. He's known for some interesting ideas.
Yeah, exactly. But, as with any new tech, gotta be a little skeptical.
For sure. Like, how does it differentiate between actual commands and, just random thoughts? And what about noisy environments?
That's what I'm wondering. Plus the privacy thing, a device that can potentially read your focus. Lots of questions there.
Totally. But before we get too deep into that, maybe we should figure out what this OMI thing actually does.
Good point. It's not trying to be your phone, more of a productivity tool, it seems.
Okay, like a smartwatch or something?
Kinda. It uses GPT-4o, which is a pretty powerful AI. Think of it like a supercharged assistant, living on your collarbone or your forehead, I guess.
So what can it actually do?
Well, from what I've gathered, it can answer questions like almost anything you can think of.
Okay, so like a walking encyclopedia.
And it can summarize conversations. Like, imagine you're in a meeting, OMI is silently taking notes, and bam, afterwards you get this perfect summary.
That would be pretty awesome. I'm terrible at taking notes.
And then there's to-do lists, scheduling meetings, all that jazz.
Yeah, that would be super helpful for staying organized.
Exactly. So we've got this Nick Shevchenko, the founder, right?
Yeah, the Thiel fellow.
He's known for, let's call them creative marketing strategies. Remember the whole friend thing last year?
Oh, yeah, the AI naming drama of 2024. Can you remind me what happened there?
Right, so he was calling this OMI thing Friend at first.
Okay, I'm with you.
Another company launched their own device, also called Friend. They bought the domain, and things got messy.
Ah, that's right. It was all over the tech news.
Now he says OMI is totally different.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. There's an app in OMI's app store, and guess what? It basically does the same stuff as the other Friend device.
Huh. So maybe not so different after all. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Consumers might be a little wary.
Definitely. But one thing that's kind of cool is that OMI is open source.
Open source. Now that's something I like to hear. Transparency is always a good thing.
Right. You can see the code,
Yeah.
figure out how they handle your data. And of course, developers are going crazy for it.
Makes sense. What kind of stuff are they building?
Oh, all sorts of things. Custom apps, different AI models, you name it. There are over 250 apps in their app store already.
Wow, 250. That's pretty impressive for a device that's just launching.
Right. And it's all because of that open source magic, fostering a community and all that.
It's a powerful model, that's for sure. It can really accelerate innovation.
Yeah. And it seems like Shevchenko is all in on this approach, like pouring resources into marketing, making his own videos.
Seems like he's betting big on open source to make OMI a success.
But even with all the open source goodness and the cool features, we still have those brain interface questions lingering. Like, does it really work outside of a demo? Is it reliable? And then there's the whole privacy thing, right? A device that can sense your focus. It's kind of creepy.
No doubt about it. We're entering uncharted territory here. We've got a lot more to unpack about this OMI thing.
It's kind of freaky when you think about it. Like, what are the implications of this brain interface for data privacy?
Yeah, that's a huge concern. We're talking about a device that might be able to track your focus, your attention. That's pretty personal stuff.
Right. Like, where does that data go? Who's looking at it?
Those are questions OMI's developers need to answer and be very transparent about it.
And even if they say it's all anonymous and secure, we've all seen how that goes. Data breaches happen. Companies misuse information.
Exactly. Promises aren't enough anymore. We need some serious safeguards and regulations, especially as this tech keeps developing.
And it's not just about protecting our information, right? What about the potential for manipulation? If a device can sense your focus, couldn't it, target you with super personalized ads?
It's not out of the realm of possibility, and that's not even the worst case scenario. What if they start trying to, like, influence your behavior?
Ugh. It's kind of scary to think about, like bombarded with ads based on your actual brainwave. Talk about creepy.
It really blurs the lines between our minds and the digital world, and it raises ethical questions about consent, autonomy, all of that.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack, but I guess, like with any powerful technology, there's the potential for both good and bad.
For sure. We have a responsibility as individuals and as a society to make sure this stuff is used responsibly.
It can't all be doom and gloom, though.
Mhm.
There are some amazing possibilities here, especially for people with disabilities.
Absolutely. Think about people with limited mobility or communication difficulties. A brain-computer interface could be life-changing. Imagine controlling a wheelchair or communicating just using your thoughts.
That's incredible. And for those of us struggling with productivity, always getting distracted.
OMI could be a game changer. No more constant notifications, just a helpful AI keeping you focused and on track.
Sounds pretty ideal. Yeah. So it seems like this OMI thing, it's got huge potential, but also some serious ethical questions we need to consider.
It's a classic tech dilemma, isn't it? Exciting possibilities, but also potential risks.
What's the best way to approach this new wave of AI wearables then? Like, how should we be thinking about it as consumers?
I think the key is informed skepticism. Get excited about the potential, absolutely, but also be critical, ask the tough questions.
Like, what happens to our data? How secure is it? What about the potential for misuse?
Exactly. We need to demand transparency from these companies. They owe it to us to be upfront about how they're handling our data.
And we need to be part of the conversation about the rules and regulations, right? Make sure this tech is used ethically and responsibly.
100%. This isn't just about gadgets. It's about our fundamental rights and freedoms in the digital age.
And this whole open source thing with OMI, this seems like a positive step, right?
Mhm.
At least in terms of transparency.
Definitely. Open source means anyone can look at the code, see what's going on. It makes it much harder to hide anything shady.
And developers can help make it more secure, more privacy-focused.
Plus, it gives users more control. You can choose to store your data locally, limit what apps can access, even modify the code yourself if you're so inclined.
So it's about empowering users, not keeping them in the dark.
Exactly. And when you have a community of developers working on something, it encourages more responsible development practices.
It's like a democratic approach to technology. Instead of a few companies calling all the shots, we've got a diverse group of people shaping the technology.
I like that analogy. That diversity of perspectives is crucial for making sure these powerful technologies benefit everyone, not just a select few.
This has been a really eye-opening conversation. I think we're just scratching the surface of what AI wearables like OMI could mean for our future.
It really is a microcosm of the larger AI debate, isn't it? We need to keep talking about these issues, exploring the ethical dilemmas, and working towards a future where AI is a force for good.
It feels like we're at a turning point.
Right.
AI is everywhere now, not just in labs. And stuff like OMI, that's just the start.
Yeah, no doubt. And as AI becomes more and more a part of our lives, I think we need to really think about what that means, the good and the bad. Like, imagine if everyone was wearing something like OMI, like how we have smartphones now.
That's a wild thought. Everyone just super efficient, managing their day with an AI whispering in their ear. Sounds kind of utopian, but is that realistic?
We got to remember, technology is a tool, right? It can be used in all sorts of ways. Just because it can make us more productive doesn't mean it will automatically fix everything.
Right. It's not just about giving everyone an AI assistant. We have to think about the bigger picture. Like, what happens to jobs? Does it make inequality worse? Or can we use it to make things fairer?
All important questions. There's definitely a concern about jobs, As AI gets better, it could start doing tasks that humans do now that could lead to people losing their jobs, which would be a huge problem.
Yeah, that's a real worry. But couldn't you also argue that AI will create new jobs? Like people to develop AI, maintain it, train it, that kind of thing. It's not just about replacing old jobs. Maybe it's about creating whole new industries.
True, true. We've seen that happen with technology in the past. The key is making sure people have the skills they need to adapt, right? Like access to education and training for those new jobs.
Totally. And there's the whole ethical side of things, too.
Yeah.
What if AI is making big decisions like who gets hired or approved for a loan or even medical diagnoses? How do we make sure those decisions are fair and unbiased?
That's where responsible AI comes in. We need to figure out rules and guidelines to make sure AI systems are actually aligned with human values. And we have to hold the people creating the systems accountable.
It's a lot to think about. It seems like the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's up to us to shape it.
Exactly. We can't just sit back and let it happen. We need to be informed, ask tough questions, and be part of the conversation.
That open source approach with Oni, though, that feels like a step in the right direction.
I think so, yeah. More transparency, more people looking at the code, it makes it harder for things to slip through the cracks.
And it gives users more control, too.
For sure. You can choose how your data is handled. You can even tinker with the code yourself if you want.
It's like instead of a few big companies controlling everything, we have a whole community of people working on it.
Right. A more democratic approach to technology. That's got to be a good thing, right? Having all those different voices and perspectives involved.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. Omi is a really interesting example of both the challenges and the possibilities of this whole AI wearable thing.
Yeah, it's been great exploring all this with you. Lots to think about.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe for more insightful discussions on all things AI. We'll be back soon with another one, so stay tuned.